This city is known as the Bush Capital, but don't let that put you off. The locals enjoy a wide variety of sports, so let's check out the stadiums and arenas of Canberra, Australia. We'll start off at Manuka Oval. In case you're wondering, Manuka, the area in which this ground is located, is named after the Maori word for this tree, which is also native to Australia. But for some reason it's pronounced Manuka in this instance, not Manuka. Maybe I've just been pronouncing the honey variety wrong this whole time. Anyway, Canberra doesn't really have much in the way of professional cricket or AFL teams, just a low-key women's cricket team. But this ground regularly hosts professional cricket and AFL matches, as it acts as the home away from home for a few clubs. Speaking of things arriving from out of town, this scoreboard here was originally from the MCG. Thankfully, Melbourne is within the same time zone as Canberra, otherwise that clock would be telling us the wrong time. This is a solid stadium in its own right, but I think my favourite aspect is the fact that the stadium is entirely surrounded by trees, and the field itself is bordered by a white picket fence, which makes for a picturesque setting. Particularly in the cricket season when there are none of these pesky goalposts getting in the way. AIS Arena is situated in the suburb of Bruce. So you might be thinking this is the University of Woolloomooloo, but it's actually the Australian Institute of Sport. This is the reason why Australia produces the world's finest breakdancers. And no, contrary to what Monty Python viewers may believe, not every suburb in Australia is called Bruce. Just the majority of them. AIS Arena was home to the Canberra Cannons of the NBL from when it opened until 2003. They don't exist anymore. However, it is home to the Capitals, a women's basketball team. So the small capacity of the venue is probably a positive rather than a negative. It was renovated just a couple of years ago, where it gained new seats and probably some other stuff. Next door is GIO Stadium Canberra, which is the largest stadium in the city. It has a unique origin story. As it was initially built to host a big athletics event back in the day, the running track was removed in 1990. It then hosted AFL and a bit of cricket until it became a proper rectangular stadium in 1997. So it could host some of the soccer at the 2000 Olympics. Since that conversion though, it has been the home of rugby in the city. And when I say rugby, I mean both rugbys. As you might expect, the unusual history has meant that the current day design is imperfect. There is a lot of uncovered seating, and some of those seats have poor sightlines. And it does get especially cold within the seating bowl due to its sunken nature. Although the people of Buffalo or Green Bay might scoff at what is considered cold here. This is the only professional rugby ground in Australia where it has snow during a game. The same is true for Manuka Oval regarding AFL. As for cricket, well, there's not a snowflake's chance in Australia that it's going to snow in the summertime, other than atop a mountain. Viking Park is not a theme park where one can live a day in the life of a Viking, because that would probably be illegal. It's another rugby ground, home to the Tuggeranong Vikings. Just 1,000 of the 7,000 capacities coming from actual seating. But I don't think that's much of a problem, as the Vikings are a pretty low-key club that competes in the local ACT rugby union competition. Whilst it is a humble ground, it is fairly easy on the eye. Maybe not over on this side, but over here, with the hills in the background and the flowers in the foreground, it's a beautiful sight. Of course, the majority of people that attend the stadium aren't weird like me, and would only care about what's going on the field. I may as well include Seifert Oval, which is in the nearby town of Queanbeyan, a town that is basically attached to Canberra, despite being in New South Wales. It has a fairly large capacity considering it's not home to any professional team, at least on a permanent basis. That capacity comes in multiple forms. You've got the conventional seating in the main stand, plenty of standing room elsewhere, some grass embankments, which is all pretty standard, but over on the eastern side there's an elevated car park so people can watch the game from their car. To be fair, that is actually somewhat common in Australia. Not in professional sports, but at country footy grounds. I guess Queanbeyan was once a country town, but not so much anymore. It is a Canberra satellite. If the ACT ever elects a populist chief minister, I'd be worried about annexation.
Queanbeyan has been taking advantage of us for years. It will become the 8th district of the ACT one way or another. They're eating the dingoes, they're eating the wombats.
Back to Canberra for some honourable mentions. McKellar Park. I guess this is like the soccer equivalent of Viking Park. Much like the players themselves, this is not quite as big. Narrabundah Ballpark. Obviously Australia is a cricket-loving nation, but much like fireworks, baseball is legal in some parts of the country at certain times of the year. This is home to the Canberra Cavalry of the Australian Baseball League. That's the second horse-related name we've seen, and that's probably because there are a lot of wild horses in the mountains surrounding Canberra. National Hockey Centre. Despite the name, this is not one of the most impressive hockey stadiums in the country, but it does the job. So there you have it. As for my favourite, well, it's got to be the ground we started with, Manuka Oval. Subscribe if you like stadiums and that. Thanks for watching, have a good one.